A very good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are joining us. It's another webinar. It's another Thursday. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. My name is Nhlanhla Vilagazi, but you can call me JM. Thank you so much for joining us. Wherever you are, please let us know where you are joining us from the chat box. Today, we have another exciting webinar. We are joined by three wonderful people who went through the ALX program, and today they are going to be telling us about their journey with tech. But before we go through everything, we just want to get to know more about them. Starting with you, Innocent, please tell us more about yourself, where you're from, what program you completed, and what you are currently doing in your career.
Hi everyone, welcome. Uh, I'm Innocent. From Nigeria. So people in Nigeria knows that there's these people in the South called the Calabar. So I'm from Calabar. The program I did in ALX is software engineering. The one that has 12 months here. The one that is like 1 full year. So you spend like 70 hours per week. That's the program I did, and I was in squad 11. Graduated last year, December. Towards last year, December and January this year. So that's a little part of me. Thank you. I'm sure you can hear me clearly, right?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you so much. Wonderful to have you, Innocent. And then, Nuru, I want to also ask you the same question. Please tell us more about yourself, what program you did, and what you're currently doing in your career.
Hi, JM. Thank you. My name is Nuru, and I'm a software engineer. I went through ALX Software Engineering, which is also the 12 months program. And currently, I'm working as a software engineer with a company called WA Health. Basically, they're a health tech company, and they specialize in streamlining GP workflows in the UK, which is basically, for instance, right now we're building an RPA bot, which kind of gets discharge letters sent from the hospitals and does some backend processing and sends it to the emails. Instead of someone having to sit down and type it, for instance, it does those kind of streamlining processes. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Wonderful. Awesome. And then last but not least, we are joined by a lady. She goes by the name Nancy. Nancy, how are you doing? Please tell us more about yourself and what you are currently doing in your career.
Okay, good day everyone. My name is Nancy, and currently I'm in the Founders Academy program. Just finished anyway, and then I'm moving on to the accelerator program. So I'm trying to build a brand around tackling the issues of unemployment in Africa, in the tech industry. So that is what I'm working on currently.
Perfect. Thank you. What a wonderful introduction from all of you. So now, before we get into everything, right? You all went through the ALX programs, you did SE, you did various programs, and I want to talk more about your experiences. This would be a question for all of you. What would you say were the habits or the disciplines that you developed during the program that you are currently using in your career? I want to pose the question to you, Innocent.
Yeah, so one of the habits I developed during the program that is still helping me till date is the ability to sit down in one place for long. You know, ALX requires 70 hours for you to be able to complete the task. Like that is like an average calculation. That is for somebody who even understands a little bit of what to do, not to talk of somebody who doesn't even know anything. So for you who doesn't know anything, you have to put in like more than 70 hours because you need to do research, you need to, before you start writing the code itself. So the ability to sit down, painstaking time to study and understand before implementing is what I actually learned during that 1 year. That tolerance spirit, that ability to sit still and learn, and not be distracted. So I will just drop it down there. I know I have some other speakers who would want to also share their own point of view.
Wonderful. The ability to sit down and focus, that is actually definitely needed when it comes to, learning and when it comes to actually upskilling yourself. Nancy, I also want to ask you the same questions around the habits that you have developed during the program that you are currently using today. If you don't mind unmuting, Nancy.
Okay, hello.
Oh, yeah, we can hear you now. Wonderful.
Okay, so one of the habits I think I picked up is the do hard things habit. This kind of person that I like to procrastinate issues and tasks I'm supposed to handle. And then when I go to the ALX program, so it's not possible to procrastinate milestones. And then I just learned that we need to do hard things, and I applied it to every part of my life, and it kind of helped me. I do not procrastinate tasks any longer. Once it comes, I handle it, and then so it helped me a lot.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then for you, Nuru, I know that, SE is very demanding. It's a very demanding program, and it definitely needs someone who is very, very attentive in terms of what they're doing. What would you say were the disciplines that you have developed during the program that you are using today as well?
I think Innocent and Nancy hit the nail on the head with that one because, as they rightly said, with ALX, you just have to do hard things. 70 hours a week is not an understatement. And you actually have to put in those hours if you are doing it right. So, waking up every day, putting in those hours, knowing how to put those hours in, having a framework that, okay, you have to wake up and grind every day. And then, in the long run, you build those habits. It makes you cut off some things that are kind of irrelevant or time wasting. So it just gives you like a 1 year of, getting your life aligned in a way as a software engineer. So yeah, I would say doing hard things as well, as they rightly said.
Awesome. Cool. Alrighty, so I just want to also focus about around the community support. Like ALX is very big when it comes to community. We believe that you don't just achieve things by your own. You need people to actually take you on the journey. So now I want to talk about your peers, right? You've met wonderful people along the way. Um, Starting with you, Nuru, can you tell us more about how you have interacted with your peers in the ALS community, and how did this support help you during your learning journey?
Yeah, I think ALX community is one of the best parts of ALX. Like, yeah, you're learning software engineering and you're learning a framework, but then I would say the community has arguably been the best part for me because I've met friends that are lifelong friends, hopefully. I've started a company with a friend. We just got our CAC registered here in Nigeria, and I met that friend in ALX. And, waking up every day, not having to do it alone. You have people to go through it because I've started a lot of courses before ALX. In fact, I'm studying computer engineering and I'm in my final year. And before ALX, I would start a course, but because of school and all that, and mind you, they're not half as challenging as ALX. But then halfway through, because of school and how tasking it is and all that, because computer engineering is also tasking, I find myself dropping it because I don't have that community support. I don't have my peers pushing me, right? But then when I started Alex, I was actually going to start my internship. So I was planning, I know I had 6 months and I loved software engineering. I just didn't know how to be a software engineer until I met Alex. So I, you know, told myself that I'm going to take time to become a software engineer and do it for 6 months because I have 6 months of internship. And then I actually was coding with someone on a side project on weekends. And then his code was so good. And I asked him where he learned it. And he said he learned it from ALX because he said in ALX, you just have to do hard things. His code was well documented. I could write good code, but I did not know how to write well documented professional level code. So he kind of gave me the advice of doing the ALX. So I started ALX and I did it for 6 months during my internship. And when I was going to resume school, I was so tensed because I knew it was impossible to mix computer engineering and ALX in software engineering, right? But then I found out that the mistake I was making is I was revolving everything around computer engineering instead of the other way around. So having that community, waking up every day, I know I have people that were doing it together, and I have a drive, I have a goal. It made me seamlessly fit ALX software engineering, even though it's much more difficult than the other courses that I've tried. But then, yeah, so it was easier. I would say the community makes you go through it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, Nuru. That was very, very nice. And then to you, Nancy. So something that you know, which is very interesting about you is that you did the ACE program, you did the VA program, you also did the founders program. Where do you find the time to do all of these things? So, you know, for someone who went through like your journey, you know, of doing different programs, you definitely need people, you know, by your corner. What would you say the peers have helped you in the ALS community, and how did they support you during your journey?
Okay, thank you for that question. I think one of the supports that I got from my peers was during felony sections, and then this constant reminder that, oh, it's have you submitted your milestone? Somebody's calling to check up on you, like, have you submitted your milestone? So that was part of the support I got, and then the felony section, and then pair coaching section that we had in between the programs, especially for the VA program. And then I actually met a few friends through those coaching sections. So we just had to work together and remind ourselves that we must graduate and we must get the certificates, and then we have to finish our milestones. So we call it and check up, like, have you submitted? What's left? Where are you hanging? Do you need any help? So I think that's part of the things, part of the support that I got.
Wonderful. Definitely need people who are going to remind you every time that you all need to accomplish the same dream. Thank you so much, Nancy, for sharing. And then to you, Innocent, something that is also interesting about you is that, you know, you are working for one of the biggest bank in Nigeria, but also something interesting is that you are very active when it comes to empowering other young people. But before we go into that, I want to hear more about, you know, the peers that you have come across in the ALS community and how they have supported you during your learning journey.
Thank you so much. So for me, I have two sides to answer this question. One is the peers I have supported and the peers that have supported me. So for the peers I have supported, during my ALX program, I used to teach a community where I have to probably learn immediately the task comes out in the morning. I think it used to come by 6, so I will have to study. So in the evening, I've already probably finished my tasks. I'm trying to teach them the basics and how you should go through your tasks to understand the basics before starting implementing. And then in ALX, the beautiful thing is that you will meet people who are professionals already, people who have been writing code already. They're just coming, to get more knowledge. You also meet people who don't even know anything, like they're just transitioning. So it is an opportunity for you to be challenged with people who are already in the production field and people, who, you're struggling together. You can see them grow and you also, you see you're growing with them too. So one of the things that stood out for me was, a mentor, somebody who has been in the programming stage for like 25 years. He has been there like for like 25 years. He just came to upgrade his skill. So he took me in and he was like advising me on how to do. So the people I taught became a challenge because I need to know more in order for me to teach. Whereas the other people that influenced me already knew more. So I needed to also learn how they learn. The ability to learn how to learn, it's another different skill. So I needed to learn how to learn programming itself from them in order for me to teach. So that's how the community itself actually affected me.
Awesome. Learning how to learn is very important. So, before we continue, if you have questions for our guests today, please make sure that you use the chat box to ask any questions you have, especially if you are still trying to figure out how you are going through the journey in your tech journey and, any advice that you need from our guests today. Please make sure that you ask the questions and most definitely you will get the answers that you need. So now I want to talk about the challenges, right? Like learning is, difficult. It's not easy. It takes discipline, as we have talked about discipline. Um, Starting with you, Innocent, what has been your biggest challenge so far in your career? And how has the ALX program helped you to address it?
So I think uh, what I would say is the biggest challenge is working with multi-directional team, people from different time zone, different language, different belief system. You know, this is like one of the biggest problem in tech space. So the ability to understand people from different culture. So one of the way that ALX actually helped is that I'm a Nigerian, and then from the beginning of me transitioning into tech, I've been able to collaborate with different people in different parts of the world. So I used to have one Dr. Benjamin. Yeah, so he was in Poland, different time zone and language difference. So his English, sometimes I have to, stretch my ear to actually hear what he's saying. So at this point, being able to collaborate and understanding people, collaborating with them efficiently without having problems. So when you transition into real production life, it is easy, especially if you have a multinational. It is very easy. So this is one of the things that ALX actually helps you address because it's a multinational program. It's not limited to just your country. So immediately you transition into the production world and you're having multinational team, it is very easy for you to move on easy. So this is how ALX actually helps itself.
Wonderful. I think one of the greatest things about ALX is the diversity that we have in our community. You're meeting people from different walks of life, different areas, they have different ways of thinking. And it's all about working together, that resilience that we uphold in our chair values to make sure that we continue to work on the same goal. Thank you so much, Innocent, for sharing. And then to you, Nuru, what would you say was the biggest challenge you have faced in your career or you are still facing in your career, and how has the SE program helped you to address it?
Well, thank you. I would say the biggest challenge is by far, not knowing how to be a software engineer in the beginning and not knowing what it takes to be a software engineer. It sounds so easy, like saying, okay, you have to do hard things, right? But actually didn't believe it was just doing hard things. I did not know as well. But then putting in those hours, ALX teaching you that you have to put in those hours, it kind of shaped my life because before I used to play a lot of video games. I still play video games, but not as much. I used to go out a lot. I still go out, but not as much, right? So Alex just teaching you that you have to put in those hours to make it work. You have to do these hard things, I think has been by far the biggest obstacle because before I kind of wasn't very focused, but Alex brought focus to me. So yeah, I would say that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Nancy, I also want to hear from you in terms of the challenges that you are facing in your career or face in your career and the programs that you've done. How have they helped you address this? Oh, Nancy, you are unmute. Please unmute.
Can
Thank
you hear me
you.
now? Okay.
Yeah, we can
So
hear
I
you.
thought part of the challenges I faced was trying to stay focused, with the virtual assistant program, I was just getting into tech and then I was looking for diverse ways. But when I did that program, I began to streamline every other program I was doing up in line with that virtual assistant program. So Alex taught me how to be focused on a part instead of doing so many things, acquiring so many skills, and then at the end of the day, you probably wouldn't use all of them. I was able to streamline and focus on a particular journey, and then that has helped me over time.
Awesome. So Nancy, I also want to ask you something. Someone who's a founder like yourself, you are facing with so many challenges. What would you say in your journey, as a founder? What are the challenges that you have faced? And also bringing back what you've learned in the Founders Program, how has that helped you to navigate those challenges and actually, overcoming them?
Okay, so first and foremost, I learned that it was not easy to be a founder. And then when I did the program, I was seeing, Alex was teaching us how to actually build a brand on your own without spending so much money, at least the first product. And so I was able to understand that for you to be a founder, you need to have grit, you need to have resilience, you need to have the growth mindset. So it's not just something you could just wake up one morning and say, I'm a founder, I'm a CEO. You needed to put in the work. And because of that program, I was able to put in the work that was needed for my brand and my business.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, Nancy. This is very, very helpful. And I'm pretty sure everyone listening or watching right now is actually getting, all the tips and tricks in terms of how to navigate as a learner or as a founder. So now I want to talk about the career impact, right? At ALX, we would like to talk about the secret sauce. What is our secret sauce? And, when it comes to the skills, we are very proud of the skills that we are developing here at ALX. And I want to talk more about that. Focusing on you, Nuru, obviously the question is for everyone. I want to hear more about the skills and knowledge that ALX has been very more valuable in your current role.
Okay, thank you, Jay. So I would say, if you've gone through software engineering, you're going to read the manual. You have no choice but to read documentation. Before Alex, I used to like reading, watching YouTube videos, just going, looking at tutorials and kind of replicating it. But then with ALX, the first thing you see is like a bunch of documentations that you have to go through even before you start the task. And that might take you half of the day or even more time than even doing the task itself. So at first I hated reading documentation, but with C, you have to just read the documentation, right? You have to know how to use the manual and all that. So that really helped because sometimes you are working on with the technology. Right now I'm working with one technology called Robot Framework. There are a few videos on it on YouTube, maybe 2 or 3. And then if you don't read the documentation, if you don't go and look at the source code on YouTube, if you don't go and look at the issues on GitHub, going through the technicalities, is something that you learn from ALX. Otherwise, you would not be able to do the task. A lot of things like you work in production don't have YouTube videos to show you how to do it step by step. You have to go through the documentation and ALX grills you in that. So I would say that has been really helpful in terms of the skills.
Awesome. So I also want to just, staying on you, Nuru. Obviously, you've mentioned like different skills that you learned. What is that particular skill that you are still taking it today and saying that skill was very helpful for me in my journey. It was helpful for me in my career.
I think narrowing it down to one thing, I would say still reading the documentation because there's a task in air like dedicated to RTFM. Most of the SC learners will remember it. It drills you down on just reading documentation. Even if you hate it, you just have to do it. So I would say the reading documentation has been the most important one.
Awesome. Thank you. And then for you, Innocent, what would you say were the skills and the knowledge that you have gained and have been valuable in your current role?
Okay, so one thing about LX is that they lay the foundation for you to grow, but that does not mean that everything you learn in LX is what you're going to use in the production space or when you keep growing. So LX will teach you bash scripting, to C, to Python, to JavaScript. So you can either pick JavaScript and become a full-time JavaScript developer. So you make sure that you understand the foundation, right? for you now. But for me, I'm a Java developer because that's what, like, at least most of the fintech use in the whole world, right? It's faster to compare and handle garbage collections easier. So what I use that I actually learned from Alex is how to deal with Git conflicts, how to deal with Git itself, bash scripting, like command writing, basic commands. Even up to today, you still do those commands on the terminal. That skill, I actually learned it from Alex. So what most developers do is that, okay, probably they have a GUI, they interact with their GUI easily. But writing those commands itself, even without checking ChatGPT or looking at documentation somewhere, is something that Alex actually shows you from the onset. In fact, the first 1 month, when you get into Alex, they actually take out time to teach you execution, script writing, terminal, writing commands, all those grades, give that, give those. Those are very fundamental, important things you will always do throughout your career. So these are some of the skills I took out. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. So, Innocent, as someone who is also, helping other young people in your spare time, and you're helping them to also succeed in their tech journey. If someone comes to you and say, what skill would I have to learn right now? What would be that skill for you?
Okay, so I have a roadmap that actually helps you decide the skill to learn. In the sense that, I don't know, we might not have much time for me to explain this roadmap. But I do not just tell somebody, jump and study social programming language, or jump and study. When you say skills, maybe a language in software engineering. I do not just tell somebody, jump and study social language. You have to undergo this roadmap to actually know where there is scarcity. Because if you learn a language where there is scarcity, you easily get a job. So one of the things is that you jump, let's say everybody now wants to jump into Python because one is easy and everybody's just doing Python. So if you ask somebody who wants to learn, why do you want to learn Python? It's because everybody's doing it. That's not a concrete reason. So when you get inside and you start seeing that it's difficult, you run out. So like I said before, I think when we started in my set, we were like, I think 50-something thousand. And then we ended up graduating with 5,000 people. Why? Because people just want to do tech because everybody's doing tech. So you just jump in without a good valid reason. So you also jump out because you do not have a valid reason that keeps you there. So if I'm supposed to advise a new person that is coming on board on what to learn, I will tell you, do enough research. Where are we having scarcity currently? For me, I discovered that the banking sector is almost taking high percentage of the tech space. And then there are not much Java developer and C# developer, because this is what the bank actually use. Almost all the bank uses this. So if you learn Java, or you learn something like C# or you learn Golang, these are languages that bank uses, and then they don't have people. Before 6, 7, 8 months, you would have the bank looking for you already. In fact, somebody on LinkedIn will actually chat you up. If you built a project in those processes, you built a project that is outstanding, that looks like a fintech application, somebody will definitely reach out to you. Do you actually understand how to integrate the social platform, or to integrate the social payment platform, or you just do a special integration? In fact, they are selling in Africa for now. Integrate USSD, telcode, all those ones, payment interswitch, all those ones. If you can integrate with them easily, put it out on LinkedIn, show somebody that you've done ADLC on integration, I bet you somebody will definitely reach out. In fact, in my company right now, we are looking for developers. And it's middleware, people that understand how integration actually works. But you go out there are Python developers all over the space. But we don't have Java, we don't have C#, because people feel that it's not trending. Okay, so that's why I used to advise you to go to where there is scarcity. You will find your way faster. Thank you.
Amazing. Go to where there is scarcity, you will find your way. Amazing. All right, Nancy. So you did ACE VA, as we've mentioned. These are completely different programs. And you've gained different skills. What would you say the skills and the knowledge that you have gained from ALX and are still valuable in your career?
Okay. Thank you very much. I think personally, I would focus more on the soft skills that I gained, which is the growth mindset and the communication skills. I mean, communication is one of the things that is lacking in our society, knowing how to communicate with people, to be able to pass the information that you want them to hear. And then, of course, the growth mindset where you are presented with a task and probably you cannot perform that task, but you believe that, okay, I can't do this now, but I can get the skill to do it. So I think that is part of the two skills that have stood out for me, and it has helped me at every point. I did the BA program, administrative skills, and then somehow I was presented with job in social media, and I didn't have so much of the skills, but I just went back to the drawing board and said, okay, I can acquire these skills, and I did, and I switched to social media management. So I think that is one of the things that I've learned.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, Nancy. So I want to talk about the opportunities. One thing about ALX is that you don't just do a program and then that's it. You still remain part of the community, you still meet other people, you still continue to learn. And Nuru, can you please tell us more about the ways that the ALS community has opened new opportunities for you?
Yes, for sure. So I would say, everything I am today, everything I've accomplished is directly because God brought ALX into my life. When I started ALX, I told myself that, I was on internship, I was only going to do ALX and I was going to do it properly without any distractions, right? And then I started doing it, and ALX encouraged us to, open a Twitter account. And if you even check my Twitter account, it's exactly 1 year ago. So exactly when I started ALX. So ALX advised you to put your community, engage with people in the community, talk to people and share what you're doing, just be enthusiastic about it. And I did. So after about, let's say 6 months, I started working on other projects. People told me, why don't you have a CV? Get a CV. But I was like, ALX is like a full-time job on its own. So I'm not really looking for a job. I'm just doing ALX. And then, going about the community, I, always posted my things out there. And then on Twitter, especially. So an opportunity presented itself because I was, interacting and engaging and posting what I was doing on Twitter. Someone reached out to me that they wanted a website. And I was in a big dilemma then because I always said, I don't want to like get a job now and I'm not looking for a job. And then I was so lucky, the community is crazy. We were on a space with Julian, and I got the privilege to talk to Julian on Twitter, on the space. And I asked him, okay, I'm in a dilemma, I'm trying to focus on ALX, but then this opportunity presented itself. And Julian said something very invaluable. He said he believes as long as you have finished the foundations of ALX, you are good to go to any job, right? And that was right when I was done with foundations. So that actually gave me the confidence to go for the job, and I did, and it was a big success. So that's what I'm saying with the community, having someone like Julian talk to you on a space. Julian is one of the icons of Silicon Valley. He was like at the beginning with Docker. If you know Julian's history, he's very huge. Let alone having Julian even follow me on Twitter. He's just like a DM away or like a tweet away, and he would respond to you. Julian responds to everybody. The community is just so powerful. I was on a space with Joy the other day as well, and she said so much valuable things, So cut long story short, I took the job, and it was a career consulting company in Canada. They wanted a website, and it was a big success. And I got paid after the job. And right after, my portfolio project was on health tech, and my specialization is actually on health tech. So people actually reached out to me, in Nigeria and abroad, like, okay, I see you're interested in health tech and your specialization project, your foundation project was good. Do you want to talk more about it? And I actually talked to someone in Nigeria, and he's doing incredible things. Alex has opened so many doors. And in fact, the company I'm working, WA Health, I got it from a referral based on the company I worked, that Julian advised me to just take the job, And, it was a big success. we finished the project in about 3.5 weeks, almost a month. And then, I would say the community is just really incredible. Before starting ALX, I never ever imagined that in 12 months I'll be where I am today. So it's just really crazy. I can go on and on about the community, but yeah, I know Innocent also has a lot to say, and also Nancy.
Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful reply there. I think one of the biggest things is that, our experts and the mentors, they also want to see everybody growing. No matter how far you are in a program, they do believe that anyone can achieve anything. Posing the same question to you, Innocent, what, in terms of the opportunities, being part of the ALX community, what opportunities have opened up to you? And I know that you are also, opening up opportunities to other people. Can you please tell us more about that?
Okay, so for me, one of the outstanding things that ALX has brought to me in terms of community is the ability to, for my voice to be heard. Example, like this kind of events you're having now. So the ability for my voice to be heard globally, it's one outstanding thing that the community itself has brought. And then sometimes I have requests based on the companies I've worked for and the performance that I've been able to, put out there for them. So sometimes they reach out to me and they're like, can we have a developer like you since you're not available with us? So I do not just go to LinkedIn and start looking for who do I talk to, I have people in the community on the WhatsApp group that over time I've seen them graduate, I've seen them build things, coming to put it out on the platform. I built this, I did this. So I could just jump on a call with one of the ALX maybe alumni and let me see what you've done. Okay, after seeing it, I'm like, okay, I think I have a job for you. You could take this one and or you could go for interview here. And then before you know the person is hired. So it gives me joy when I actually see, most of the people that have graduated either with me or after me or before me, referring them and then they have a job. It actually gives me fulfillment. So this is another opportunity that the community has also given. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Nancy, also the same question. Please tell us more about the opportunities that you have gained from ALX and, how has that been for you?
Okay, thank you. One of the opportunity is that yeah, on this call right now. And then another opportunity is that people tend to call me and like, okay, Nancy, can you tell us about your work journey? How is it going for you? How are you able to do all that you're doing? And I just say, is there like that's just the simple. And then a bit of my friends, I had to refer them to virtual assistant program when it came up for this year. So and then in terms of career, that also opened my mind to the possibility of negotiation. So I speak to somebody, I say, okay, I'm looking for somebody with this skill set and this skill set. And I say, okay, I can't do all this, but I can do this. This is my track record. And so because of the fact that I went through these programs, I've gotten that level of confidence to believe in myself that I can do this. And when given the opportunity, I actually tend to deliver. So these are part of the opportunities and it's been amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Nancy. We have a question on the chat box, and I think this is one of the important questions. And I would like everyone to help me answer this question. So the question is, as a student, how can I best manage the time, which is learning school material and also learning the course I'm taking at ALX? Nancy, because you just told us about, the skills and, the opportunities that you've gained. This is someone who's juggling different things, the school and then ALX. How can they manage all of this?
Okay, so I think one of the things ALX will teach you is time management. We have 24 hours in a day, and some people say it's not enough for them. Some people say they need more hours in a day. But when you sit down to think about it, you find out that it's actually enough. So it depends on your level of commitment, your level of determination. You can decide to map out your time. Okay, let me dedicate 2 hours a day to ALX program. Dedicate the remaining 6 to 8 hours to my school studies. So it depends on the level of commitment and how much you want, what you're going for. So that is all about that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And to you, Innocent, what advice do you have for our viewer in terms of how they can manage their schoolwork and also their ALX work?
Okay, so I know that ALX is not doing that 12-month review. I think they're breaking it down into 6 months. So it even makes life even more easier for somebody who is a student and is also learning. I will give you an example with myself. When I started ALX, I was working nine to 5. So basically, I was working in a logistics company, and I go to work early in the morning. Probably I go to work by 7, and I close by probably 8, 9 in the evening. So I have bed in the night to look at ALX. But when you have resilience and you know what you actually want, it's going to stress you out. I'm going to advise that person that is a student. I bet it's going to stress you out completely. Sometimes you might have burnout, but it is a very rewarding career. You can commit to it. It's just for 6 months, or probably just for 1 year. If you're doing the program again, it's just for 1 year. So after this 1 year, remember, at every point when you want to learn something new, it is always very demanding and taxing. But if you pay the price and lay that foundation properly, after 6 months and 1 year, it will not be that demanding as if you were starting. Because at this point, you definitely understand the fundamentals. You're only growing based on the fundamentals you have. So I understand that you have school to meet up with, and then you need to graduate with good grade. Please do not forget that one. School can only come once in your life. So if you have 4 years to spend in school, you need that 4 years to be very productive because you will not go back. But for ALX, you can always have another time. That's why ALX even brought defer. You can defer. You can run the program if it is comfortable for you at that point. But when it comes to your exam time and you need more time, you can defer and always come back and continue. All right. This is me being very sincere. You can always defer and come back and continue. Then for some times when you have to learn, that's why you have a community. I said before, you will have people who have been in programming before you. Some of them, they have 3 years, 4 years experience in programming. Some of them are already working as software engineers. The best thing you can do is partner with these people, have good relationship and friendship with these people. So when you do not have time to actually study for a long hour, what will take you like 3, 4 hours to understand? You would meet somebody who has done it before to just explain it in 30 minutes. You understand? So if you have friends who are programmers, they just want to come and update their knowledge, you can always, in the evening, sorry, please, can you explain this to me? I'm sure you've done this before, or you have all the time to learn. Can you explain what you've learned from me? So probably they will explain it. If the person is even from your country, maybe you speak the same language, it's easy to understand with your language. If somebody is using your language to understand, to explain programming. So you just listen to that person explain with practical example, and then you share your screen, you code, and the person corrects you. I bet you what you are supposed to learn in 70 hours, you can learn it within 2, 3 hours. So it also gives you time to go back to your own school, to your school material, and study effectively and deliver. So this is my kind advice for you.
Wonderful advice. So I'm also just like taking notes because this is amazing. So from what I'm learning so far, Nancy, you told us time management is very important to juggle your work that you're doing. And then Innocent, you shared that to actually succeed, you need to have resilience to know what you're building and what you're going for. And then also building good relationships with people who are in the similar journey or people who have been in that journey. And then for you, Nuru, what advice would you have for our viewer in terms of juggling their schoolwork and also the ALX work?
Okay. I think I'm not the best person to answer the question because first of all, when I started ALX, I became so addicted with ALX that school became like a side hustle because I could see career path in ALX, I knew ALX was what was going to guarantee me a future, right? Because my degree, I wasn't very sure, but with ALX, I was 100% sure that this is what I resonated with. So for me, that community and that love for ALX was enough to drive me to do ALX as much as necessary, even though I did not attend as much classes anymore because sometimes I have a very important task. And I'm just so lucky that I'm in my final year and I'm focusing on my project more than the academic work. I don't know how it would have been if I was still in like my third year or my fourth year. So in my final year, it's a lot easier, I would say, because I just need to make sure I do my project, my school project, and I need to do ALX rather than having to do, going to do the coursework and all that of like the earlier years. But I'm going to say one thing is, the motivation and the drive is what you need more than the time management. Because if you love ALX and you want to put in the time, you would wake up by 3 a.m. and you will not realize how you've not taken any coffee, but you still have the energy to go through it. For me, I would say ALX, I've had a discussion with someone, and they were talking about, their juggling school and all. And I told them that personally for me, I see ALX giving me a future. I see ALX giving me a life that I want to live, and I can see the fruits of the result already. So the degree is not as important to me, even though I'm acing my academics. I'm in my final year, I'm finishing in like a month, hopefully. So everything is good, but as long as you find a good time balance, just make sure you do it with passion and you'll be able to go through it.
Wonderful. It's all about motivation and drive. So I want to shift things a bit, right? The tech industry is growing. It's ever evolving, which is, one of the wonderful things about, the industry. Nuru, can you please tell me more about how you see the tech industry evolving and how do you plan to stay ahead?
Okay, so first of all, I think everyone knows that AI is like a big buzzword now. We're in an AI boom and things are revolving around AI. But one thing I also want to say that I've noticed is when you're starting for like an ALX software engineering student, it is very, very important to, stay with an open mind, be open to DevOps, software engineering, front end, back end. You're a full stack developer, and that's what ALX is training you to be, right? But then it's also very important to specialize maybe on weekends or part-time. For me personally, I would say I always loved health tech. I've always been specializing in health tech, and I always like engage with people in deep health tech on Twitter. So what that has done for me is when I sit down and I'm talking to somebody in tech, but they're in health tech, I talk about like RCMs, revenue cycle management, EMRs, and some deep health tech things that a regular software engineer will not be able to talk about. And that would give me a big leap when it comes to like him looking for a software engineer, because I already know what the health industry is doing in technology, what is going on in technology. And that gives me a big edge over other contenders for that particular job. If you're interested in, let's say, banking sector, or you like India is doing something very interesting called UPI, which is Unified Payment Interface, where it seamlessly makes their banking very, very easy. You can start learning about that on weekends. You don't have to say, I'm only going to learn banking, for instance, right? But then just do that on the side. Just make sure, okay, when I sit down and talk to you on this topic, I'm an expert in it, or this area of topics. My portfolio project was on health tech when I did CS50, which is a computer engineering course from Harvard. I did my specialization in health tech, and any project I do, I lean more towards health tech. And now I have so much experience, and I'm working in a health tech company right now. And why I got hired is because once they started talking to me, they realized I know so much about health tech, and I didn't do it on purpose. I just realized that health tech has been so fascinating to me. There's so much interesting, deep things going on. So I wouldn't say just focus on one thing and just learn it alone, but then, on weekends or on the side, just specialize on that thing, but then keep an open mind, yeah, because I think that's a better way to go about it.
Wonderful. I like what you're saying, Nuru. It's all about, continuous learning more skills. It also comes back to what, Innocent, you said about scarcity, find where there is scarcity and, you will find your way. In your words, what would you say and how would you see the tech industry evolving, and how do you plan to stay ahead?
Is that for me?
Yep, that is for you.
Okay, so the tech industry is growing. I think things are currently moving to AI. Everybody is moving towards AI, generating things. But I also, for my statement, when I say find a way there is scarcity. So if everybody is jumping towards AI, remember the things that were built before AI came will not just vanish. People will need to still maintain them, upgrade them, even still upgrade AI on top of those code base. So it was because of this fact, people were advising me go to Python, do Python. And I said, no, from my analysis, Python is available everywhere and anywhere. And then for me to be able to, learn my first job as a learner, I will have to go to where there is scarcity. From that scarcity, I can grow and then learn AI. But I need a job to be able to sustain me. So that's why I had to, bend towards learning Java. And everybody's saying, no, Java is old, C# is old, what is pending is Python. But today, one thing about programming or software engineering is that immediately you are able to build the logic aspect. You can, programming, the language itself is just syntax different. So that's what ALX do to you. They actually help you build that logic aspect. So that's why it's for software engineering. They did not specify one language. They come and learn one language. No, they want you to build that logic, the ability to think and solve problems. That's the major thing ALX is doing to you. They want you to be able to think and the ability to solve problems. You can always learn any programming language, the syntax in probably a month or 2 months. So this is the basics. For me, I tend to stay relevant in the fintech space because I've been in the fintech space for a while now, and I understand how integrations and all those payment things works. And this is where I'm going to grow. So for new technologies, for new frameworks that can integrate payments easily and faster and more efficient, those are the things I keep updating myself and learning almost every day. I think currently in Nigeria or in Africa, I think transfer takes 3 seconds. Probably in a few years to come, transfer might take probably like 20 seconds or 10 seconds or even 15 seconds or probably 5 seconds. So people are trying to build things to optimize processes. And then the old code base that banks were using even in 1980 something, they are still in existence. They only modify them and make them more efficient. So this is the best way I feel for me, I can stay relevant. Thank you.
Wonderful. Staying relevant as tech evolves. Loved it. And then for you, Nancy, what would you say, or how do you see the tech industry evolving, and how do you plan to stay ahead?
Okay, personally for me, I'm not into software development or coding, really like non-code tech. So personally, I'm in the virtual assistant industry and the remote work sector. So I feel like with the advancement of AI, where you can generate content, you can actually use that to automate. Because right now in the space, when you try to get hired as a remote worker, most people are asking, okay, can you help me automate some of these tasks? So that is one of the things that I'll be engaging in personally to make sure that I'm able to learn the systems around AI where you can automate some tasks. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to lose your job because someone has to prompt the AI. So someone has to also teach the AI. So some of the things that I'll be doing as in the technological space as we advance forward.
Wonderful. It's about taking advantage of AI. I love that. So now we've talked about so many amazing things. You guys have shared amazing insights. You've given us tips and tricks on how to actually go, how to navigate this tech journey. And, when it comes to life, when it comes to learning, when it comes to the programs that you've done, there's probably like an advice or words that you have received, in your journey. Nancy, I want to hear from you. What advice or words of encouragement would you give someone who is, looking to follow the similar journey as you?
First and foremost, I would say do hard things. And by doing hard things, I mean, first of all, write it down and paste it on your laptop or something so you can see it every morning. And you tell yourself, do hard things. And then, do hard things. Nobody understands the concept of do hard things until you're in a situation where you have a deadline and you need to submit it and there's no way around it. Then you know that you have to be awake to make sure that you submit that task. And then you understand the concept of do hard things. So I think that is one of the things that has kept me and that has pushed me in my journey here. So at every point in time, when I'm feeling discouraged, I just tell myself, you have to do hard things, and then I'm moving on.
You had things indeed. I love that. All right, Nuru, any words of encouragement for someone who's looking to follow the similar journey as you?
Yeah, I would say, as Julian always says, because Julian is my icon, so I always quote Julian. Julian always says, outside of your comfort zone is where you grow, right? You have to be willing to, put in those hours, do hard things, go outside of your comfort zone and grow at the same time. And for encouragement, I would say, like, the industry is growing. There's a lot of open slots. There's a lot of opportunities, right? Like, from when I started LX to now, I've come across so many opportunities. People say like the industry is hard and there's no slots, but then if you actually specialize, if you actually try to do hard things the right way, there's so much opportunity out there. And when I was in ALX, it was always I didn't have any fear, because every time I see an ALX graduate get a job, it always like made my mind so calm, even though I had never gotten a job at that point, because I knew, yes, there is light at the end of the tunnel and ALX graduates are doing well. And I would say I'm not very different from anyone doing ALX. It's not like I'm a genius or whatever. As long as you do hard things, I'm 100% sure like it's going to pay off.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then for you, Innocent, any words of encouragement that you have for someone who wants to follow in the similar journey as you?
Sorry, come again.
Any words of encouragement that you have for someone who wants to follow the similar journey?
Okay, so for me, the only word I could use to encourage somebody who wants to follow is that the person should try and be consistent, stay consistent, and then you need to have 3 skills. I used to emphasize 3 skills. 1, tolerance. 2, consistency, and then the passion. The passion is what will drive you to start. Consistency is what will help you to stay focused. And then tolerance is what will help you to stand up when you fall, when you've fallen down. So when you fall, meaning that as you start the journey, it gets tough on the way. All right. So sometimes there is no level of motivational speaking that will help you out. So you just give up. Probably it's too much for you, or the stress is too much, or sometimes you have genuine reason to actually stop the program. But that ability to come back for no reason, you just stand up and say, this thing, as people are doing it, I'm going to do it. You understand? That ability to just, that greed to just stand up and move on is tolerant. So these 3 skills is unique for me. In fact, it's one of the 3, it's the most 3 things that have helped me out throughout my journey to where I am currently. So the passion to become outstanding, the passion to strive. Some people, passion is money. So if you ask them, why do you want to do tech? It's because they want to improve their standard of living. They need money. So it's a good passion. It's not a bad one. It's not a bad thing to, to want to have more money and then you run into tech. It's a very genuine reason. In fact, when I meet people that say, I say, what's your drive? They say money. It's perfect. Nobody wants to stay poor, all right? And then next thing is consistency. Even if you want to be spending 3 hours a day, it must not be 70 hours the way ALX put it. I can decide to make my 70 hours 3 hours a day by using other factors. Like I said, I have professional guys who are also learning with me. I must not go and sit down and be studying for over 70 hours. I can always meet up with some of these people, although I have my time to study, but meet up with some of these people who are professional already, and then they just put you through. And some of the complex things you were trying to grab becomes very easy because they explain it in layman understanding for you to understand, which is not on YouTube or is not in your documentation. So that ability to stay consistent is unique, all right? Keep just learning, even when it is not entering. This is another part I need to emphasize on, that sometimes you try to learn and it looks as if it's not working. It looks as if you're not growing. Just keep learning. You will understand after like probably 1 year or 6 months. It's like the things you saw that you did not understand, immediately you start getting clarity. Remember, let's say you're a graduate. When you were in year one, it looks as if life is going to be, the courses are too difficult. You're in final year now. If they give you what you study in year one, it becomes very easy. Why? Because you've grown and you've stayed consistent and grow, even when it looks difficult. All right. And my last empathy is tolerance. Do not forget the ability to rise up even when you fall, because you will definitely fall. There are so many reasons that both genuine and not genuine that will help you fall. That ability to rise up and keep moving is that tolerance. Thank you so much.
Amazing. It's all about consistency, tolerance, passion, and most importantly, doing hard things. Alrighty. So now, as we are about to close today's session, I want to play a game with 3 of you. In less than 7 words, I'm going to ask you a question and you going to answer. So let's test it out. Nuru, describe your best leadership style in 1 word.
My best leadership style in 1 word would be empathy.
Empathy. I love that. And to you, Innocent, one word to describe ALX.
I would say do hard things. Oh,
I mean,
Awesome.
there's no better answer.
Yeah. Nancy, favorite hobby outside of work in less than 7 words?
Watching movies.
Watching movies. What movie do you like to watch?
Detective, crime.
Amazing. Nuru, one thing that you can't live without?
Probably my PC at this point.
Awesome. And then, Innocent, one app that you wish you had invented.
Uber app. Like,
Uber, nice.
yeah,
Awesome.
it's really wish I invented Uber because those guys are cashing out.
And then, Nancy, what's your personal mantra?
Do hard things.
Can you repeat that?
Do hard things.
Do hard things. Amazing. Well, this was so amazing. We did hard things. We talked about Alex, with Jenny, with tech, and I would like to thank us today. We've learned a lot from all of you. Thank you so much for sharing your insight. Thank you so much for letting us into your lives and sharing, what it takes to actually build a career in tech. I've learned a lot today, and I hope everyone who's watching have learned something. And yeah, this has been so wonderful. Before we go, please remember that ALX applications are approaching the last days. Make sure that you visit alxafrica.com and secure your spot. Thank you so much, everybody. Oh, very important. Our deadline is on the 13th of August, so time is running out. Make sure that you use this time to join our community. This is a community of growth. This is a community of unity. You are not just alone at ALX. We are with you to hold your hand. We are with you to make your life impactful. Thank you so much, Nuru, Innocent, and Nancy for joining us. It has been wonderful to host you and hear more about your journey. And to everybody who's watching today, thank you for joining. And lastly, remember to do hard things.